Everybody tried to tell me it was going to be a sweep. All the analysts picked the OKC Thunder because of their depth, their defense, and their MVP. But they forgot one massive, unguardable detail. Victor Wembanyama is a completely different species. In Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, Wemby walked into the loudest arena in the NBA, dropped a historic 40-20 game, and completely neutralized the number 1 seed. The Spurs just snatched home court advantage in double overtime, and suddenly, the big bad Thunder look absolutely terrified to step foot in the paint. Let's talk about it. We have to start with the absolute sheer dominance of Victor Wembanyama. What he did in Game 1 wasn't just a playoff win. It was a historic, demoralizing decimation of an entire franchise's game plan. We haven't seen a 40-point, 20-rebound game of this magnitude since Nikola Jokic did it years ago, but Wemby's impact looked entirely different. He dropped 41 points, ripped down 24 boards, dished out 3 assists, and swatted 3 blocks in double overtime. But honestly, that box score somehow doesn't even do his performance justice. He grabbed 9 offensive rebounds by himself. Think about that for a second. The entire Oklahoma City Thunder roster, a team that prides itself on toughness and grit, combined for exactly 9 offensive rebounds. Wemby matched an entire elite NBA team on the offensive glass by himself. He was pulling down 24 total boards against a starting front court that looked like middle schoolers standing next to him. And it wasn't just the size, it was the absolute audacity. When the game was on the line, down 3 points in double overtime, the pressure is at its absolute peak. What does Wemby do? He pulls up from 30 feet out right near the logo with the utmost confidence of a prime Steph Curry and buries a transition 3 to rip the heart out of the arena. It was pure art. We are watching something that defies basketball logic. I'm old enough to remember Shaq dropping 40 and 20 against Indiana. I remember Tim Duncan flirting with quadruple doubles. LeBron's legendary 48-point special in Detroit. This performance by Victor Wembanyama ranks right up there in the pantheon of all-time playoff masterpieces. He was waving off the point guards, pointing at his chest, and basically telling his squad, "I got this. Do not panic, I am here." The craziest part about Wemby's game is the absolute psychological terror he inflicts on the opposing offense. When Wembanyama is standing in the paint, driving lanes just miraculously evaporate. The Thunder players were driving the baseline, doing those classic Steve Nash wraparound dribbles and going all the way out the other side of the basket because they were terrified to even look at the rim. It reminds me of a Nile crocodile. A giant crocodile can go an entire year without eating. It doesn't run around the savannah chasing its food. It just sits right there at the watering hole, completely still, waiting. It knows that eventually the entire herd has to come get a drink. That is exactly what Wembanyama is doing on defense. He isn't always chasing guys out to the perimeter. He just sits in the paint, knowing that eventually Gilgeous-Alexander or Jalen Williams has to come to the rim to get a bucket. And when they do, the trap snaps shut. They had Wemby down for 3 official blocks, but if you actually watch the film, he altered at least 15 to 20 shots. Guys were throwing up absolute prayers. Isaiah Hartenstein shot a floater that had so much arc on it to get over Wemby's wingspan that it nearly scraped the Jumbotron, and it completely missed the rim. If Wembanyama is in the surrounding county, an open layup is no longer an open layup. But here's the scariest part for the rest of the Western Conference. Wemby is not doing this by himself. The San Antonio Spurs are officially the youngest team in NBA playoff history. The average age of this roster is 23.7 years old. They are supposed to be naive. They are supposed to be intimidated by the moment. Instead, they are playing with the cold-blooded poise of 10-year veterans. And the most insane part of this Game 1 victory? They did it on the road in double overtime, completely without their star point guard, De'Aaron Fox. With Fox sitting out, the rookies and the young role players stepped into the fire and didn't even flinch. Julian Champagny was bubbling all night long, hitting massive, timely threes to keep the offense afloat whenever OKC tried to make a run. Stephon Castle stepped up and took on the hardest defensive assignment in basketball. Yes, Castle had 11 turnovers, but you cannot teach his competitive fire. He was an absolute dog defensively, fighting through screens and refusing to let the MVP get comfortable. And then there is Dylan Harper. Imagine being thrust into the starting lineup as a rookie in the Western Conference Finals, missing your primary ball handler. What does Harper do? He drops 24 points, grabs 11 rebounds, dishes 6 assists, and rips 7 steals. 7 steals in a conference finals game. He was aggressive, getting downhill, hitting his spots in the mid-range and proving that this Spurs core is a terrifyingly complete unit. The Spurs front office didn't just throw a bunch of random free agents around Wemby. They planted seeds. These guys are growing up together. They understand their roles. They don't care who gets the credit, and they all defend at an elite level. Now let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder, because the excuse machine fired up the second the final buzzer sounded. They were rusty. They had too much time off after sweeping their last series. They were distracted by all the ceremonies and the trench coats and the AP watches for Shea's MVP presentation. Let's keep it 100. This is the Western Conference Finals. If you are distracted by an MVP trophy presentation while trying to win a championship, you do not belong on this stage. Yes, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 24 points, but he was incredibly inefficient, taking 23 shots to get there. The Spurs put length on him, stayed disciplined, and made him work for every single inch of hardwood. Alex Caruso tried to be the savior off the bench, dropping a massive 31 points. Caruso was hitting huge corner threes, taking charges, and fighting for his life in the paint against guys twice his size, doing all the dirty work that helped the Thunder win a ring last year. His 31 points was the most off the bench in a conference finals since Tyler Herro back in the bubble in 2020. But you cannot expect Alex Caruso to drop 30 points every single night to save your offense. The reality is that OKC's front court got completely exposed and bullied. Chet Holmgren gave you 8 points and 8 rebounds. Isaiah Hartenstein was literally unplayable, finishing with 2 points and 2 boards. You cannot have your two primary big men combined for 10 points when the alien on the other side is dropping a 40-piece. OKC tried everything. They tried putting the smaller, pesky Caruso on Wemby to try and get under his legs and deny the entry pass. But the second Wemby gets 2 feet in the paint, it's over. He just holds the basketball above his head like a dad playing keep away from his toddler. It doesn't matter who is guarding him. If he catches it in the restricted area, you are just a spectator. Lou Dort has to give them more than 5 points. Jalen Williams, who was decent but clearly on a minute restriction, has to find a higher gear early in the game. The Thunder have to figure out how to offset Wemby's production, because right now their math is completely broken. Everyone in the media anointed the Oklahoma City Thunder as the inevitable team of the future, but they failed to realize that the future might already be wearing silver and black. The Spurs proved during the regular season that they weren't scared of this matchup, taking the season series 4-1, and now they just walked into the most hostile arena in the league and stole Game 1. Think about the chess match heading into Game 2. If De'Aaron Fox gets cleared and returns to the lineup, the Thunder are in absolute peril. Fox brings a herky-jerky speed that completely compromises the point of attack. If OKC's perimeter defenders have to collapse to stop Fox's dribble penetration, that leaves guys like Champagny and Vassell wide open on the wings, or it leaves Wemby free for devastating lob dunks. The Spurs genuinely believe they are the better team. More importantly, Victor Wembanyama believes he is the best basketball player on the planet. He isn't forcing the issue. He is letting the game come to him. He is making everyone around him better, trusting his teammates when the double teams come, and controlling the entire geometry of the basketball court. OKC is officially in a dogfight. They have the pedigree, they have the MVP, and they have the depth. But if they don't find a way to keep Wembanyama off the offensive glass and force the Spurs' young role players to start making mistakes, this series is going to slip away from them faster than anyone predicted. Drop a comment below. Was Game 1 just a rusty anomaly for the Oklahoma City Thunder, or did the San Antonio Spurs just prove they are ahead of schedule and heading straight to the NBA Finals? Let me know your predictions, and keep it locked right here for more unfiltered, high IQ hoops talk.